Seven songs tell us the story of this land circled by sea, where our fathers learned from their fathers our place in his story. Cast our nets deep in the water. Cast our nets deep in the green. There's no hand reaching across this water. We are tired and hungry. I can hear the whistle through the window. I can feel the boats at sea. Seven songs tell us the story. We alone shall always be. Welcome to Boise Song Talk. I'm James Coberly Smith. Tonight, we are on location in the beautiful, rugged mountains of Idaho. I once asked tonight's guest, are you a songwriter, a storyteller, a folk singer, an author? What are you? She said, all of that. To find out what she means, let's go over and meet tonight's special guest, the legendary two-time Grammy nominee, Rosalie Sorrels. Rosalie Sorrels, thank you for having us into your beautiful cabin. Greatly appreciated. What I was hoping to talk about tonight, my friend, is your family history and the love of words. And since this cabin is a big part of your family history, I thought we'd start right there. What can you tell us about this place?
Well, my grandfather bought the piece of land before I was born, and I'm really pushing 80. I'm going to be 79 on my next birthday, but I'm going to skip that part because 80 is much more interesting to me.
Yeah.
It's a nice round number.
It is very nice.
Yeah. And
then your father actually built this place?
no, my grandfather.
Oh, your grandfather.
Yeah, when he first built, my father built this place, but my grandfather built the cabin that was here.
Right.
And when I was a child, I lived in that. This place didn't exist then. Like my dad built it after my grandfather died. But the whole thing is organic. It's all made out of. I mean, he cut all the logs here, and he, you know. I mean, it's a whole family project. That's just existed, and I ended up being the one who gets to live along with it because everybody else is gone now.
Gotcha.
But I have children that come along here.
I didn't know before that you actually lived in the other location.
I did.
This.
I was a little bitty kid. I spent most of my time that I wasn't with my dad. My dad built highways, and we went with him when he did that. So when I was a little kid, I lived in all these different places with my dad and my mother as we went around. We had a home in Boise that we lived in, but This was the heart of the whole place. That's what I remember.
Hmm.
And now I get to live with my memory.
It's so beautiful. It's like 7 or 10 acres or something. It's
There were 10 acres. I think there were 14 acres. And they sold off a little of it when they needed the money, but they kept there's about 7 acres left now, yeah.
the original part where you grew up. Did it get washed away?
Yeah, there was a hell of a flood. I mean, it completely demolished the other place, and we tried to rebuild it, and finally it was just not possible. And then Dad built this by the time. I mean, he was dead set on being up here, and so was I.
Wow.
I'm so happy to. I mean, I practically remember the setting of each stick and stone, and I don't think very many people get to be that close to where they live anymore. Unless they live in another time and place. But I thought I'd just read you a couple of a little bit. This is my mother's book. My mother was a book person.
We'll go right to that.
She worked at the bookshop down in Boise.
Okay.
And she wrote this for herself to begin with, but it's made some lasting impression on a lot of people who care about stuff like
I love it.
She says, April, laughing her girlish laughter is upon me. The water is completely gone from the basement. Old Grimes is still threatening the lane. That's the name of the creek we're on, Grimes Creek. Old Grimes is still threatening the lane, and I park my car outside the gate lest I get trapped by a sudden surge of water. April is also the month my Social Security payments begin. Such a lovely little brown paper envelope, meaning, indeed, to me, security. I remember other days. In the raw new land of South Idaho, it was shove and scrape, and if you had bad luck or lost your strength, you were done for. I was raised in mortal fear of disability or some natural disaster. We walked a thin tightrope with no net. 2 years of crop failures could wipe out the savings of 10 years, and that, of course, was part of the reason for large families. More hands to work the land, someone to help you when your strength was going. Children were sometimes your only security against dying in a ditch. There was no cushion.
Carry on. Read that whole dang thing, please.
I remember the bewildered old ladies, widows who had lost their husband and whose small hoard of savings had been swept away by illness or death. Sometimes they had no one left to turn to, and then it was the county poor farm with bare, endless corridors, echoing board floors, cheerless charity. Sometimes they had children or relatives who took them in and sheltered them, but the extra mouth was a burden, and they knew it. Old ladies, sitting in the far corner of the room when company came, thinning hair dragged back into a tight bun, knobby hands folded in aproned laps, soft list slippers slit to ease the painful bunions, apologetic, silent, arthritically awkward, or drudging from one task to another, pathetically anxious to please a harried daughter-in-law. Relicts, they called them, flotsam from an earlier culture, bleached, dry, juiceless, helpless. Women who had once been strong and beautiful and suffered from that memory.
Please finish. I love it.
Then there were the ones who still had a measure of strength, but were trapped in that dreadful bind that women were trapped in so little time ago. Not enough education to teach, too old to be a clerk or a waitress. There was little other opportunity. Poverty was a sandpit, and they could not scale the walls. They fought, sometimes gallantly, sometimes bitterly, but mostly they lost. Their lives subsided into an empty, endless waiting. Even when their families cared for them and kept them safe, they still lacked their independence. And for as much as your people care for you and you for them, absolute financial dependence is a terrible, crippling thing. Social Security helped to change that, gave the elderly a measure of dignity, not to have to ask for little things, silly little things that made you remember you were still a woman. To be able to buy a lipstick, to ease your drying skin with a pot of cream, and a small but solid contribution to the monthly bills, enough so you could have a room of your own. With luck, a place of your own. Here in my mountains, I am remarkably fortunate. Living is cheap. I have 7 acres of room. Room for dignity and freedom. Privacy, to cry when I am sad, and to dance when I am gay. It all comes in that little brown paper wrapper, and it lets me spit in anybody's eye.
That's written. Oh, it is such high-octane writing.
She was good.
She was doing good.
Not only that, she could sell books better than anybody. She read everything.
That just kills me. The first time I came up and visited you, you read that to me, and I was just spellbound. I couldn't believe the power of that. And I still can't. I appreciate you reading it for many reasons. One, that it shows what a powerful writer your mother was. And this is this element that you have taken on so well, this power of words. You are a master storyteller. I have seen you. It's all throughout this huge body of work of yours. But it's interesting to see it come down from your mother. In fact, people should look for that book and read the whole dang thing. The great thing for me, I'll just borrow that for a second.
No,
I'll give it back.
okay.
Come on, I'll give it back.
Let me mark.
Okay, we're having a fight now. This book, Report from Grimes Creek After a Hard Winter by Nancy Stringfellow, is Rosalie's mother. But you saw the power of the reading, and look how it's more like poetry. You should check this out. Look for it. I love it. Because some of the other books we're going to look at here are big and thick, and they take a long time to read, but that thing is a killer. All right, now wait, I can't let you read anymore there, because I have to ask now, because I have a curiosity. There is something that your mom used, and it was called Rosalie sauce. What's Rosalie sauce?
Cayenne pepper and sweet and sour.
Well, I found it somewhere quoted where she had said, Rosalie sauce is made of wine, honey, and cayenne, like my Rosalie's voice. That's what she said. She was talking about your amazing voice. And I thank you for reading that too, because...
Okay, but I want to read this too.
You want to read more?
Yes.
Hey, who am I? Go ahead.
Well, I'm Rosalie, and
You
this
bet
is
you
called
do.
Song for Daughters.
I'd love to
She
hear
only
it.
had one daughter. No making any mistakes.
Oh,
about
all
who she
right
had
then.
in
All right
mind.
then.
Sing your songs to keep away the dark. Draw the curtains, light the fire. The candles glimmer and perfume of pine and roses fills the room. Outside the cold stars shine. The books you loved are waiting on the shelves. The wine is poured, the table set. The curtains drawn across the pane keep out the sound of wind and rain. Outside the cold stars shine. But the wind is rising and you've got to go. Clouds are running races in the sky, the treetops toss, the wind is riding high, the stars are calling, calling. No arms can hold you in a warm embrace. The place you want is not this place. You want the winds of time against your face. You want the wild rain falling. Outside the cold stars shine, and you are theirs, not mine.
Your mother's father used to pay her a small stipend if she could speak some Shakespeare or poetry or something. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Me too.
You too? Shoot. See, this is the other part of this. And didn't he would even, her mother's father, your grandfather, would even curse the horses and stuff in Shakespearean language.
That's right. The devil damn thee black, thou cream-faced loon.
see, this is the awareness of words that I was talking about in this. Because as we go through different episodes and we talk about things, it'll be so clear. And as people study your body of work, they will see what a master of words you are. And I was interested to trace where it came from. I don't think my grandparents talked Shakespeare to me. Maybe they did. I wasn't paying attention probably. When you were a young girl at school, in 3rd grade, I had read that you had very high reading skill scores.
12th grade.
12th grade? All right, I was reading a Studs Terkel article, and he said that you had great scores in 3rd grade, and some of the older girls decided that they wanted to come to you and say, you're being too smart or something.
You got money for certain skills in repeating things and stuff like that, and they thought I always made all the money because I could remember everything. So they thought they pushed me down in the dirt and took my glasses away from me and told me I couldn't have them back unless I promised not to do that anymore.
Not to be so smart, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of read that there were a few of them and you kind of took care of them.
I did.
That's what I heard. That's what I read. You kind of took care of them.
My father taught me how to go hunting and fishing and skin of deer. They're lucky I didn't get around to that part.
You didn't skin them. Thank heavens for that. What restraint. But you were much younger than them.
I was 8. They were all 3 or 4 years older than me, and they came. 5 of them came.
All right.
And I put one of them in the hospital too.
That's why I'm trying to get along with you tonight. All right, here's another interesting thing. Tell us about your desire to be an actress.
Oh yeah, I always wanted to be an actress. I guess I am really anyway, but I wanted to be in plays and maybe movies, you know, but plays more. And
did you do some of that in school?
yeah.
Yeah?
Although I got over wanting to do it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Why? What didn't attract you to it?
No, it didn't work like that. I got
Oh.
married and had a whole lot of children, and it
Oh.
didn't seem very practical to me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yes, the reality. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I actually feel like I've accomplished everything in my life that I really wanted to do, but I didn't know what it was exactly when I was thinking that way.
Early on,
I loved having children.
yeah, well, very good. You have a song, actually, a phenomenal song called Baby Rocking Medley. I mean, I'm just jumping to that now because you're talking about your children. And the liner notes from Baby Rocking Medley,
Medley.
I'm sorry, and it's taken, by the way, from one of Rosalie's many albums. There's between 20 and 30, I don't know, we'll figure it out. There's a Baby in the House is the name of the album. And there is
be careful, there's a baby in the house.
So sorry. All right.
You can't mess that up.
Well, I just showed you I can. I'm highly capable of this type of mess up. Baby Rocking Medley, on the liner notes you said, to me, a song becomes a folk song when you can use it in your daily life as a tool to help you get on with it. It also said that the benevolent baby rocking song in the medley was based on the 19th century poem I learned from Olive Woolley Burt, American Murder Ballads and Their Stories. Now, when I see you say based on, you then, what does that mean? You're such a historian. You took that folk song, the Oliver
Woolley
Burt, and how did you reconfigure that into what you did? What was the process? I mean, it wasn't identical to what he had. Who knows, huh?
Do you know what the folk process is?
No, tell me.
Well, it's when unschooled people take things from their memory and their home that they've grown up with, like I grew up with a million books. Mm-hmm. My mother ran that bookshop for 20 years, and this whole shelf over there is gone. I sold that shelf, or that bunch of shelves, and that bunch of shelves, and I mean, the whole place was just lined with books. We didn't need any what do you call it when you make the wall proof against cold?
Oh, insulation.
Insulation.
There you go.
It was insulated with books.
Yeah,
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
We didn't need any insulation, and
so you would find something like that. This Olive Woolley Burt American Murder Ballads and Stories. You would read that, and then you reinterpret it into this.
No, Olive Woolley Burt was a friend of mine.
Oh.
I didn't have to get it that way. I actually, she was a very old lady, and I was always attracted to old ladies, so that's probably why I'm living so long. I'm trying to become attractive.
Hang in there. You're still too young. You don't
She
qualify.
was almost 100 when she died.
Oh, see?
And
See?
we went on tours together, Olive and I. And I mean, I got that straight like a blood transfusion.
You know, you went in Salt Lake. You mentioned before. You actually studied song folklore and song collecting.
I did.
In Salt Lake. Tell us what that was like. What inspired you to do that?
Well, I mean, I already had a lot of it in my, just from my family. There was a great admiration for the oral transmission in my family. That was as good a method as reading a book, as far as we were concerned. If you could get it, in fact, better, you could get it from the source. And I got read to when I went to bed from the time I can remember. And I had, I probably could remember more than most people until I started getting older. But I also read. I had a voracious love of books, but I also loved the process of oral transmission, and
Yeah.
when I discovered what that meant in terms of folklore studies and things like that, then I got obsessed with it, and I read everything I could find about it, and I went out and collected songs and stories from perfectly nice old people who were minding their own business out in the forest. And I said, give me your songs and stories. Or you're dead,
Yes,
whatever.
yes.
And they were always happy to participate in that process.
You know, you have speaking of family history and words and all this, you have a song about Bells of Ireland that once again sort of tells about the history of your family and things. We're getting toward the end of the show. Before we have you sing a little of that, Rosalie, if I could ask you, if someone wanted to become a better storyteller, would you have any short piece of advice for a storyteller? What makes a good storyteller?
Well, you have to love the process, and it has to be spontaneous. That'd be it. The song actually is a description of what it is, I think.
In fact, why don't you sing us? Could you please some
Sure.
of that? I love that song, and thank you so much for coming. Real pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Yes. These are the bells of Ireland that in my garden grow. My great-grandmother brought those seeds from Ireland long ago. Music, it is wild and sad, like orphan angels sing. And you must listen in your soul to hear the bells of Ireland ring. I've never been to Ireland, though I sing of the cool green shores. And I dream I must have lived there some century before. And I'll weep for the blood and the troubles, and I'll tend my garden well. Let the sweet green bells of Ireland outring the bells of hell. And these are the bells of Ireland that in my garden grow. My great-grandmother brought those